Good afternoon, comrades. I wanted to read my note that I wrote the other day on Facebook, my latest article, and it's entitled, Why I Think a Syrian Intervention is a Bad Idea. The role of NATO has been imperialist ever since its formation, but now more than ever. During the Cold War, NATO could not pass East Berlin. Now they're raising tensions at the gates of Russia and intervening in Africa for the first time, in Libya, and is now considering intervening in the Middle East vis-a-vis Syria. We see clear imperialist intention in NATO's intervention separating Yugoslavia in the Clinton years. You would think after the Cold War NATO would disband, but they are out of control to say the least. In essence, what they did in Libya for humanitarian purposes is worse than what the British did in Ottoman Syria for humanitarian intervention to protect Christians, quote unquote. History is repeating itself as NATO, a tool of empire dominated by the US, much like its economic arm, the IMF. With UN complicity, as the US continues to abuse its veto power, is continuing to use the latest weapons on civilian populaces when there is a civil war in a country or quote unquote revolution, making it hard in particular to distinguish an Arab Spring type uprising or intifada from a fake one provoked by agencies of the imperialist West. One thing is clear. NATO in Syria would be doing anything but protecting civilians, but like in Libya, it would create a humanitarian disaster, making things worse. As the UN or Annan plan fails, this leaves open an opportunity even with Russia and China working on the diplomatic line to protect the Syrian regime. The bloodthirsty West, just finished with Libya, now wants Syria, then Iran, then who knows? Divide and conquer, as Caesar said. It was true then, is true now. The imposition of Western-style democracy. Certainly not the case in Egypt, where it looks like an Islamist president is set to become president. The only other option now is someone from the old regime. Mubarak would like that. Hell, he could be released if this man becomes president. So much for Tahrir, liberty, as people occupied squares last year, but this year is starting out with regression. How can it be turned the right way? In the final analysis, as an internationalist, I see a just solution in making the masses aware with the alternative media, the injustices in Syria, and at the same time stress the importances of a diplomatic rather than military solution, which would only add terror to the region. Look at the mess in Libya, Iraq, etc. Syria would be back to the Stone Age if intervention were made. It would raise tensions with the East, the Persians, Russians, Chinese, etc. Pakistan is another problem. A nuclear power is bombed daily by U.S. drones on orders of Obama. This only makes the Taliban in Afghanistan have more sympathizers. When will the war on terror end? When will we see it only causes more terror, and the root of much of the world's terror is by the U.S. regime herself? Thank you.